Let's go. Uh-oh. Welcome to On the Chain. This is Jeff here with co-host Chip. What is going on, everybody? What's going on, Chip? I'll tell you what's going on today. XRP for financial freedom, tokenized assets, securities, all sorts of amazing things going on in this space. There's a lot of talk about stablecoins being backed by hard asset. And that might be precious metals. That might be gold. We're going to talk about that. There's some cool things happening in this space. All of that stuff wouldn't have been possible had it not been for this latest ruling on XRP is not a security. We got to underline that, underscore that. A lot of cool things to talk about. Chip, you ready to kick this thing off?
I'm ready, Jeff. Let's do it.
Welcome to On the Chain.
Welcome everybody to On the Chain. That was weird. We go live and some weird mishap. It's always something, Jeff. I mean, it's always something, but that's how it works here. That's how we roll live.
And everything was frozen. I was like,
yeah, you're still a little bit. You're skipping on my side at least. I don't know if that's happening at your, but you're a little bit skipping. But everybody, guys, drop where you're coming in from. Drop it in the chat. We will put it on here periodically as we go through some of the news today. There's a lot to cover today, as usual, on a Saturday. And we got a big guest on tomorrow night. Will be announced very shortly. Also, too, another big announcement, which we'll make towards the later part of the show. Badass Yetis announcement, which is pretty exciting, especially for us. Something we're working on, and something for you as well. So something you guys have been asking for. What is that? You probably can guess if you start putting in the chat. I'm sure.
I don't know.
The people have been asking about it over the course of the last couple of weeks. Yeah, Jeff doesn't know. Of course, you know what it is, Jeff. But I thought we would probably start off today. A couple potential
shout out to Cleveland, Ohio.
Cleveland
rocks.
Heart of rock and roll, baby. Yeah, Rock and Roll Museum. Let's
give a quick shout out where you guys are tuning in from. Can't just be Cleveland in the house. We got people coming in from England, Australia, Los Angeles. There you go. Michael Murphy, yeah, Luke.
There it is. So I thought we'd start off a couple of things today.
Punta Gorda. Nice.
Punta Gorda. There we go.
Happy belated birthday.
Really heavy, a little hungover. It's okay.
Is it your birthday or someone else's birthday?
Grab your coffee. Jeff, you were like smiling through when you were saying that. You were smiling and you were saying, is it your birthday or someone else's? I was like, what is going on? You're all... like you're in slow motion there. I don't know what's going on.
We're frozen.
What's going on? It happens. All right. I'm going to skip through this. This is pretty cool. So WrathofKahneman put this out, and we're just going to start a little bit of Ripple news, Ripple partner news. This is called SendFriend. So some important developments for SendFriend. If you remember, SendFriend was an original on-demand liquidity user, and they've actually rebranded, Jeff. And I don't know how you like this name, but they're now called Diameter Pay. So SendFriend to Diameter Pay seems like a mouthful. You know, I like the idea that you have pay in there.
I don't know. Some of these rebrands. Do you like Diameter more than SendPay, or what is Diameter? Oh, they put Diameter Pay. Why couldn't it just be SendPay or Pay?
SendPay would have been better, right? SendPay. We're going from SendFriend to SendPay.
SendPay would have made more sense.
Would have been a good.
I didn't like SendFriend too much either. SendFriend didn't make sense.
Well, you have
SendPay would have been
first. Cool. Diameter. There's 4 syllables in the first one with pay. It just sounds like you're saying a lot. So they've SendFriend, Diameter
and the
Pay.
First is die.
Well, maybe diameter, like the diameter. I don't know. Like
I pay.
Of course, they probably got Diameter Pay.
I don't know what people think.
Well, a lot of this is driven by trying to get the URL.
Probably. Maybe it was an easy one to find. That could be too. Yeah.
So a lot going on here.
Issues. I know what the problem is. I'll be right back. I got to leave and come right back.
Okay, no worries. Listen, so Diameter Pay, you can see their new brand right there. So let's go through this. There they are right there. So there's a little bit off their website there. Mission to build a more inclusive global payment system, an uncertain world. Diameter was founded at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology.
Diameter.
Jeff, somebody else famous came from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. MIT. It was Gary Gensler, yeah.
Somebody famous?
Well, famous for the wrong reasons, I should say.
A lot of
but-
people have come from MIT.
So it's founded at MIT to
Many people have
revolutionize
come
global
from
payments
MIT, not just Gary.
using API and compliance automation, which is interesting. Well, something good that came out of MIT.
Mhm.
SendFriend, an early on-demand liquidity user, founded by former World Bank analyst. They originally connected the U.S. and Philippines. I remember talking about that news way back when, Jeff. That was like a long.
That's right. Oh yeah, I remember that. That was important. You know, I mean, the whole focal point again, you know, was cross-border remittance payments, but also moving money for people. You know,
Right.
so if
Send
you're,
friend.
you know, a worker overseas and you need your money back home, send friends, send it back to your friends, send it back to your family. Hence, you know, the Philippines, a big one because you have a lot of workers that come in from the Philippines to a lot of parts of the world, the U.S. being one of them. Makes sense.
Look, Scotland's in the house, Jeff. And look, don't you just love to see that? Look at that. That's a Pathfinder. Cuddly, cute, deadly.
Scotland. Oh, look at that Pathfinder.
Beautiful.
Don't let them find you.
Love to see you guys, and you guys got those Yetis this year. Yeah, it does count.
You know who else is almost from MIT? The MIT neighbor.
There you go, right there. So,
Fire Gary Gensler. That's a good one. SBF's father was at MIT. This is where starting to see a trend here.
Sam Wakeman's getting free.
Gary,
watch the space.
SBF's dad.
Well, a lot of times, so there was a little bit of controversy in the space. So the news came down that just like kind of let's just go off on a tangent here because somebody brought it up, but they dropped the U.S. Government dropped a charge against Sam Bankman-Fried, and the reason they dropped it was because that particular charge had jurisdiction. They didn't clear it with the Bahamian authorities, and because it's an international company, they didn't. In other words, they didn't do the proper paperwork. They screwed it up, and so then they had to pretty much drop that charge. Was that by design? Who knows? I mean, it's a little bit weird. Florida and Tokyo in a few days. Very cool. Seems like there's a lot going on over there. In Tokyo, we covered a lot. So
Texas.
And then according to a recent press release in 2022, they evolved into a B2B payments platform offering embedded cross-border payments to international banks after securing a $2.9 million European Union R&D grant that same exact year. This is back in 22, which seems like a long time ago last year. What's up, Paul? Around the same time, SendFriend, founded at MIT, by the way, we already know that, but won a $3 million EU innovation grant from Polish-based fund to build the next generation blockchain payment solution for business and consumers. Then the article, the next tweet notes that this kicked off the B2B move. So they that's why the SendFriend, sending money back and forth to people, they morphed into a B2B payments versus like a B2C type payments. And then in February this year, SendFriend acquired compliance provider Digiply to have proprietary tools for compliance automation. Note the automation. They're focused on making US dollar solutions to banks that have been de-risked in compliant ways. And then the last piece for now is in April, SendFriend rebranded to Diameter Pay. The SendFriend site still runs, so likely they'll keep it as a consumer. Both sites note their partnership with Ripple and their blockchain focus. He puts the too long didn't read down here. It should be at the top. If you guys ever see that, people are always confused by what is
anywhere. Have they explained the diameter? Chip, have they explained the diameter thing anywhere?
Throughout this whole tweet, yeah, Jeff. They've been explaining it throughout the whole tweet.
As to why diameter though.
Oh, nobody knows the rebrand.
Why did they pick the name Diameter anywhere?
Well, let's see. Let's see if it's listed
hey,
on
this is meaningful. This is why we did it. This is.
Well, it sounds to me like they. Let's see if they have one of the first companies SendFriend. Diameter Pay's response to today's global marketplace desperately needs safe international fund transfers. I don't see anything in here other than talking about Diameter. It's founded as SendFriend.
Just referencing, right?
Diameter Pay
about Diameter.
I don't know, Jeff. Doesn't seem to be.
Well, I thought
But
they'd be following the Twitter trend and just go to like one letter, just like maybe just go to D or P for
X.
pay.
Well, it looks to
Kind
me
of like
like what they're
X for
doing
Twitter.
here is they are, they're going to call it diameter, but if you got a diameter pay as their URL,
Diameter.
they should have just called it diameter. So
That's their URL. Yeah, it's yeah,
here's a little something. The
diameter
shortest,
meaning global. That's what.
yeah, that's what I was saying.
Oh,
Diameter,
Andrew Smith is saying diameter meaning global.
correct.
I get that. Yeah,
I
but
brought that up, but still,
he
it's
said
not
it's a mouthful to try to say it. Yeah.
shortest distance across the globe. There it is, right there, and there you have it. And Jeff,
How
one
come
of
it's
the
a diameter because circumference was taken?
no, he's not wrong. I don't think you're wrong. Thank you,
That's a good
Alchemist.
one. I think that's circumference.com.
Alchemist might be it's just incredibly witty. No, that's why I said that earlier. Like you come up with the name because you're trying to get the URL, and circumference base probably already taken.
That's right.
We wanted it circumference.
That's it.
Circumference is even more of a mouthful than diameter. I mean, diameter is a little bit roll off. So there's not a lot going on with this new
Yeah.
site. It just looks like they rebranded and more professional. What's up, Ray the
Diameter is
Mouse?
more professional.
Bros. So funny enough, Jeff, the other day, David Schwartz put out a tweet, this is so rare that I wholeheartedly agree. I usually find something with David Schwartz that I can nitpick or whatever. But he said, does it bug anybody else? And I'm paraphrasing, but does it bother anybody else that when they go to a dark mode app or a dark website? And I was like, this drives me crazy. This is one of my pet peeves.
I'm trying to have a
What's that, Jeff?
what?
I don't know. You were
No,
behind the.
I'm just referencing your.
Yeah, so it drives me crazy,
You
right?
love the dark screen.
Well, here's the thing, Jeff. It's like the reason it bothers me. If it was so much easier to read, then why don't they print books with black pages and white type? Because it isn't. Because your eye can definitely detect. And the reason you have serifs versus non-serifs, the little serifs help your eyes even read it a little bit more. Spend some time in this industry. I know a lot about type and fonts and stuff like that. But the thing that is troublesome is
full screen.
it's just troublesome to me. It's like everyone thinks,
Can you
oh,
read the fine print?
I can read it, yeah. It's a financial company, not a bank. Very, very, there it is right there. There's their license number, blah, blah, blah. But I'm just saying the whole idea of this these dark things, there's two pet things that drive me crazy. The second one we'll reference today. We'll actually see it because it's vertical videos. Vertical videos. It's like, yeah, and I think those people should be punished that watch vertical videos, but they shoot them all the time because they can't figure this out, Jeff. So they're doing this all the time. They're walking around like this.
Oh, that's too difficult.
Videotaping. And so what happens if they show that on a regular screen like this? They blur the sides of what you could be seeing. And so instead of taking a screen this wide, you end up with this much of the screen. And still people can't figure it out, Jeff. They can't quite get it. They can't figure it out. And they shoot the vertical videos. And I get it because there's TikTok and there's Reels and there's YouTube Shorts. I get that. And that's kind of why a lot of people probably started doing that. But if you're just shooting something to share with somebody, just turn your phone, man. But anyway, enough about me, Jeff.
Makes more sense. Makes a lot more sense.
But
what is the shortest distance across the globe?
Let's not get into that, Jeff.
The shortest distance. The shortest distance across the globe.
Who's asking?
So Fernando is wondering if he buys 50% of the diameter, will he own a radius?
Jeff, you're still glitching on my side. Is anybody else seeing that, or Jeff's a little bit?
Everything's a little bit off.
This guy right here has an obsession with my feed.
I think there's a delay.
He's leaving all kinds of comments.
There's a delay in our connection here for some reason.
I'm seeing.
Are you guys seeing the delay? Do you guys see a delay between us? Are you hearing me right now?
I hear you right now, but the thing is like your video seems behind. So tell me if it's me or if it's Jeff that's delayed.
No, there's a delay. I don't know. I'm going to leave and come back because there's a delay.
Seems to be a delay, but anyway. Yeah, so Will, I don't know what the deal is. He keeps leaving comments about my feed. It's like, hey man, my feet are never on there, but I know it's a metaphor for something else. But I mean, but anyway, everybody has their thing here. Yeah, we do have 25. So yeah, I mean, I can say this channel here is shadow banned. This does not get shared, and we lose. Even though new people show up all the time, we see that we get negative subs every single day. It's incredible, Jeff. I was just talking about the negative subs that show up. We get negative subs. Some of that could be cleaning up, but I appreciate that, Thomas. We had 26,000, and we've been slowly losing them as they go.
Well,
Doesn't matter.
we've been gaining the last couple. YouTube can't stop it now.
We're still negative though, Jeff. They're still showing.
Yeah, we're definitely short of where we were because YouTube would take every positive we had and turn it into a negative. How do you like that, man? We try to turn a negative into a positive. You got to make lemonade out of lemons. You know what YouTube does? They make lemons out of lemonade.
Lemons, Jeff.
Lemons.
You said the magic word, Jeff. You said the magic word.
Lemons.
Lemon. Lemon. That U2 song, Lemon. I love that too.
Yes. It's all set. It's all fixed. The delay doesn't exist anymore. We were a little bit out of sync because I could tell we would stop and wait to listen. And so
there was something weird about it.
It was a weird delay. Very weird, bizarre type of thing going on. But now it's fixed. You know, when you're routing through all these cables and wires and trying to broadcast and connect and, you know, we're going to the browser and people are all over the world. I'm back in sync.
Do you know?
Hey, Chip.
Yeah. I would give it a shot. Jeff, you broke first though. It's like, let's see who can can we fake him out, Jeff? But you cracked the smile first.
Whatever.
We were dying to do that. Just and then come back. It's like,
all right,
man. All right. So I got another story here. So Jeff, you know how that old song, I fought the law and the law won?
Yes.
You know that song from I think it's like the 50s or 60s. I fought the law and the law won, right? So we have this one here. This one here from Roslyn, Layton. And it's what's really great about it. It's in the DC Journal, an Inside Sources publication, no longer in Forbes. She used to publish a lot of articles in Forbes. Remember, one of them was taken down. Maybe two of them were taken down, right?
Oh, yeah.
So it looked like she found a new place. And if you guys know Roslyn Layton,
the DC Journal, it seems
famously, she filed a suit against the SEC to release the Hinman emails. And then it came, or was it the Hinman emails or something else she filed? I thought it was that. So she wrote this article here. And again, this is probably, she's been so vocal on this case. But this title is The SEC Fought the Law and the Law Won. What a phenomenal headline there. And so she goes on to say that after 3 years, the cryptocurrency case of the century, which we branded here and everybody else was talking about, which was largely ignored in the mainstream press, Jeff.
Oh, yeah, case. They didn't largely ignored. It was ignored for 2 years.
They didn't understand its significance until the ruling came down, right?
Yeah, I think it was definitely the ruling that has opened up. But even then, how much reference have we heard to it? You know, it's not like they're talking about it on the overall, in-depth significance to the financial space. It would be nice to see them do that a little bit more, but I don't think they understand it. I think that's a big part of the problem.
And I love this line right here where she says it tested America's leading financial regulator against 90 years of federal law and jurisprudence, right? So there was a precedence behind this, and especially when we talk about the fact that especially in the digital age, the digital asset's never been the token. I mean, never been the security. It's always been the scheme in which it's been packaged, which is why so many people are having a tough time with this. And she's like, fortunately, the law won. The ruling by Judge Annalisa Torres of the Southern District schooled the SEC in the law that created the agency, and then leaned into the 1946 Howey Supreme Court decision that defines the SEC's authority.
Yes.
The security under the Howey test exists only when there's an investment of money in a common enterprise with the reasonable expectation of profits to be derived from the profits of others. That's where you end up with those four prongs. That's what we refer to as the four prongs of Howey. Investment of money, common enterprise, reasonable expectation of profits derived from others. So she only hit the first two because the other ones clearly they had nothing to do with it. And you remember Bill Hinman was even a little bit lost in that area. He thought that you just need to satisfy an attorney with one of the largest law firms in the U.S. I think he was just gaslighting, Jeff. I think.
Yeah, I think overall, I'm still suspicious of the whole purpose of why the lawsuit dropped to begin with, as much as they want to try to beat up on him and draw the connections back. I still think there was some motivation, and I could be completely off, but it just, the whole fact of it seems a bit odd that he did it before he left. And then he launched this case, and the facts obviously stacked up. I mean, he was in a, he's should understand the law. I mean, Gary Gensler is not an attorney. He doesn't necessarily understand the Howey test, but as you do and reflect on it, but then we see there's a number of attorneys out there that also don't understand it per se. But then you have like the Shermanator, who's not an attorney, doesn't understand the Howey test, doesn't understand crypto. I think he was a CPA, maybe had an accounting firm or something like that. You would think that he would kind of understand it, but he's a spreadsheet guy, kind of dollars and cents. And I don't think it goes beyond the spreadsheet, but it's, man, there has to be some sort of an understanding. And if you understand it, you understand the basics of it. And then you see what happened from day one. It doesn't make sense. The only thing that makes sense to me is that there was purposely dropped as a lawsuit. There could potentially be collateral damage, but it was done with the intent that there would be an outcome at the end. And the outcome is what we have now, which is clarity for the cryptocurrency space. I could be completely off base on that one, but it was obvious to Chip and I from day one when we watched it all going through that it had to go with an outcome like this. There had to be an outcome like this.
Yeah, Jeff. And the funny thing is like, we still have to put those clips together. Part of it is we've done so many of these podcasts. Going back, you got to kind of go back and listen to them. And back then we weren't, we didn't have those where we had chapters, and on the chapters identify part of the video that we actually spoke about a subject. We weren't doing that back then. So there's a lot to unpack. We remember what we said though. And we said that this might be, and I remember talking about this, and someone reminded me of this in the comments in one of our videos from like about a week ago, where we were joking about the fact that that Clayton may be a hero or zero. We may be sending him a box of chocolates because this may be the fastest. Remember we were talking about that? Yeah. So we might be the fastest path to clarity. I mean, I don't think either one of us expected it to go 2.5 years, but the funny part about it was on the way to 2.5 years, it was the fastest path to clarity, and it's also law too, which is great. So there's no disputing that. And it really was the impetus for Congress kicking into high gear. They've had bills over the year, token taxonomy 4+ years ago, but it wasn't until this actually came down that they can't ignore it anymore. You cannot, bloviate on behalf of the regulator, the SEC. This line right here, she talks about the fact that hence most of the purchase of XRP cryptocurrency were not security trades. And, unfazed by the enormous public attention of the case, Torres focused specifically on the SEC's accusations against Ripple and its 2 senior execs about the sales of XRP crypto dating back a decade, and strictly applied the law. But this is what's funny, is that nobody can really understand that. And the ruling exonerated Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse and board chairman Chris Larsen for their XRP sales. It vindicated more than 75,000 retail XRP holders who entered the case against the SEC. I know you're by yourself. You're looking at your phone right now. You're looking at your computer. Put your hand up. Raise your hand up if you are one of the 75,000. Go ahead. Raise your hand right now. Put it up there, because you made the difference. 75,000 plus voices could not be ignored. 3,000 of those people had signed affidavits that were what do you call it? What do you call that when you endorse it, Jeff? I can't think of the word right now. When you endorse it. When someone signs it and they put the little seal and stuff on that. It's called
endorse it.
It's not called endorsed. It's illegal. If you sign mortgage papers, you have to get it. I can't even think what it is. Come on, guys, help me out there. Anyway, so that 3,000 of those folks went through that. Sometimes I forget
it. You have to go to get it notarized.
Notarized. There you go. Thanks. I got notarized. So 3,000 people went and got it notarized. A big hassle. And now what's amazing is there's close to 4,000 plus people in the Coinbase case. So John Deaton, this is what they didn't count on. They didn't count on Ripple at all. So they all joined in pushing back on the SEC's flawed legal theory that the XRP token itself is a digital asset security. You remember they called it a digital asset security in the first or second paragraph of the 70 plus pages, the complaint they filed, making every sale between two parties forever an investment contract in the company Ripple. The court learned from from them. The most XRP holders never heard of that when they acquired the token. And this is why John Deaton's involvement in this was pivotal. I don't know that we would have got this ruling.
I tend to agree with that. I think John Deaton's involvement and bringing the whole crypto community, or at least the XRP community, right to the limelight was vital. Having 80,000 people, participating in that intervention was very important. It brought a lot to light. The problem is that when you just have Ripple, the company, in the eyes of the SEC, they tried to make them out to be the evil culprits that were taking advantage of the individual retail investors. And then if you present that fact in front of the court's just relying on those two factors. They never hear from the people, right? And so here in this scenario, if the people were coming out and siding with the SEC, saying yes, we were harmed and we want restitution, but what did the people come out and say? They came out and said, we were harmed not by Ripple. We were harmed by the SEC's action of filing this lawsuit, harmed us. And here's the damage. And this doesn't make any sense. And so that intervention, I tend to agree with you, Chip, that definitely had a big part of it. And John Deaton will go down in the history books as being extremely important to the cause of cryptocurrency development in the United States. And so he took on that role, didn't have to. He was upset when he saw how the SEC was treating the people. And imagine here he is sitting there, and then he stepped up, and the rest is history. I think that is really, really amazing. And there's Alchemist. Without Deaton, this would not have happened. All credit goes to Deaton. Got to give a little credit to the attorneys over at Ripple as well. They fought a good fight, but Deaton should get a huge amount of the credit for making sure that this outcome on XRP, specifically the outcome that it's deemed a non-security.
Yeah, and John Deaton could have had all kinds of excuses, like, why would I get involved with this? I don't have, who am I? I'm I'm an attorney from Rhode Island, former federal prosecutor, but I have my own private practice that I'm helping people, with methylthemiola. I can't never say that, but he could have said a lot of different things, like, hey, it wasn't my place. Why should I speak up? But he didn't do that. He saw something that irritated the hell out of him. Said he would have done the same thing if they had filed against Ethereum or something else, because he's also a holder of that. But he didn't want to let this lay. And then his writ of mandamus was basically ignored. But it morphed into, but it's like knowing that one voice and one person, you can have that difference, because when you get others together. Now, this case would not have been successful probably if John Deaton hadn't rallied the support of the community, and he did it pro bono. I mean, he didn't do it for any payments or acceptance, and the people he filed it upon, the actual names in the writ of mandamus was his family members and people that were actually XRP holders. And then, of course, 75,000 plus friends just sort of joined in, and that was what made all the difference. And the SEC's legal theory, she goes on to say, stretched the existing law so far that it created a new de facto law for technology so complicated that when the Securities Acts of 1933 were written, it's all too common and overgrown administrative state looking for new industries to conquer. God, this is so spot on. This sentence
here. It's very spot on, and that's exactly what happened.
They were looking to try to find a new place to go after another form of police state. And the danger of the SEC prevailing hung over the XRP holders and any other holder or trader or developer any digital asset yesterday, today, or tomorrow. XRP could be replaced by any token or asset at all. It was a bald-faced lie, a regulatory land grab. This is why the biggest winners from Torres' decisions were the retail XRP holders. Pivotal line of Torres' decision didn't disappoint. XRP as a digital token is not, in and of itself, a contract, transaction, or scheme that embodies the Howey requirements of an investment contract. The law is clear, she said, definitively, that even an asset that represents a security is not the security. John Deaton drilled this home over and over again.
Over and over. And I think we have some good video on that we'll play right after this with John Deaton's commentary. And then we also have some stuff from Warren Davidson.
I don't know if
But
we
this
have
is,
that, Jeff.
we do. No.
Okay, you want to pop it up? You want to
Oh,
grab it?
Yeah, it's there.
Okay,
And then
go
we
ahead
got
and
this.
load it up on your side.
That's scary.
Yeah, as always. So Torres did what the SEC failed to do, analyze all the defendant sales of XRP against this measure, finding only Ripple sales to institutional investors were securities. And the way this was reported in the mainstream news was sloppy. It was sloppy. It was juvenile. It was absolutely embarrassing.
Purposeful.
Like, the XRP sometimes, and Charlie Gasparino couldn't figure this out either. Sometimes it's a security and sometimes it's not, because their mindset is on the digital asset. They're missing the applying Howey, which is what's really great about this Roslyn Layton article, that she really kind of pulls it all together. This is something that Charlie Gasparino should read. But when you're thinking about the XRP token itself, the digital asset, and replace that with any of the 4,000 other ones out there, then you can't figure out why sometimes it's a security and sometimes it's not. You go like, that doesn't make sense. But if you apply Howey to it, it's the way it's packaged, the way it's put together. And if you're an institutional buyer and you're buying it from Ripple and you actually physically have a contract and there's an expectation profit, sorry, that constitutes a security. So also in particular, Torres acknowledged the sales of cryptocurrencies on exchanges like Coinbase, Binance, and Kraken. So inherently blind bid, peer-to-peer sales where the parties go into a transaction, not even knowing each other. So when XRP was sold through the exchanges, the SEC cannot regulate those sales. How can any retail XRP holders or who obtain their tokens through exchanges enter into an investment contract with someone who didn't know, be it Ripple, someone else, could have been, market makers. It could be somebody else. You're selling as someone's buying. You don't know what you're buying. This was a part too that even Jeremy Hogan had talked about, that was like something that he hadn't even put together and thought it was brilliant, and the whole blind bid part.
It's amazing, and it's amazing that Gary is still going to stick to his guns on this. And this is where they're going to try to formulate an appeal, and see how much more money. Well, we'll see. Because as long as he's at the helm, but I think his time is limited over with the SEC, so he's going to have to act fast. And then that would mean that if there's a new administration, someone takes over for him, they're going to have the appetite for that, and see how many more hundreds of millions of taxpayer dollars they want to spend on trying to disrupt and hurt retail investors. Also,
too, we have to ask our producer Hans Loaded here if he can go ahead and try to find those clips casually. We need to put together a video that we can circulate the things we got right pretty early on, Jeff. Pretty proud of that in a way, because man, we analyze this stuff and you guys were there for us. We went from having a show once a week on Sundays to when this dropped, the SEC v Ripple case dropped, we went to 6 days a week. A little bit much, a little bit overkill. We had to scale that back because we're pretty busy. But Jeff, that's why we started. We started so analyzing every line.
Everything. There was so much content on this. It was unbelievable, and it kept almost every day there was some new development moving forward, so.
Then
I've got the video pulled up over here, but let's try to,
I just want to finish this last one, because ultimately the Torres decision was a triumph for the thousands of XRP retail holders led by Rhode Island attorney John Deaton. They filed a motion to intervene early in the case, engaged in the lawsuit, had cashed out the values of their holdings and locked their XRP in exchanges, suspended trading, fear of SEC retaliation. Jeff, go ahead and pull that up.
And that was a brutal event. If you think about, during that 2020 period, where all the assets were increasing in value at a rapid pace. I think XRP at that point was like $1.20. And then it had been at its low, we're hovering around that 20-cent mark, I believe. And so then it went up to 120, and then the whole market fell out. And I believe it was 120. I want to say that's what it was, but the whole market on XRP fell out as Bitcoin and all the others scaled to all-time highs. And it was all, so XRP definitely felt the impact of that. He's a paper tiger and a key. That's right. He is. He definitely is. Okay. So let me pull this up. There was some commentary. There's a video here with Gary Gensler, talking about from Bloomberg.
I have that.
Yeah. Yep. And so here's the crypto law. Here was his comment, though, and I think this was important.
let's play the video first, Jeff. I mean,
yeah, that's a good idea. Let's play the video.
I have the video, so let's do the video, and then let's do the commentary.
Okay, here we go.
So let me do
ready?
it against the.
Well, I've got the video right here. It's loud. Let's see how loud it is. Here it is.
Which
that's pretty loud.
Oh, sorry, I had the video here.
Specifically, a ruling that was made in the Ripple case that XRP is only a security when sold to institutional investors, not so with retail investors. I know you've previously said you were disappointed by that ruling. The SEC has also said that it intends to seek further review. So does that mean you are going to appeal it? Can you elaborate on your thoughts around that ruling?
Kaylee, great question, but the commission, I'm one of 5 commissioners. Mm-hmm. The commission has not acted on that, and
no,
if
Sophie's right,
the staff makes a recommendation, we'll have a discussion of it, and we'll take it up then. But I don't really have anything more for you for that.
In the
he doesn't have any more on you. You know what's so funny about this thing?
Any more on you? Do you see that smile?
He was like, with the hands and so sure, and it's clear, and he would go on TV and he was all riled up, right? He went from like a lion to a cub. He's neutered. He has no power. He's been destroyed. This has embarrassed the daylights out of him, Jeff.
Look at this. Look at this smile. Like if you see this nervous smile, right, as he's talking about it. And it's just funny because you watch his facial expression. He's talking and he knows that he's been embarrassed, right? He everything, like you said, he was the impassion that he had and it just blew up in his face because he was wrong. And he doesn't like to admit that he was wrong. And look at that. Look at that look.
Jeff, even the way he says it, he says, I'm one of 5 commissioners, meaning the other ones,
all of a
he
sudden,
doesn't have the majority. All of a sudden, now he's one of 5 commissioners, and all of a sudden, things aren't so clear anymore. And if you see him, he goes on. Now, when you see him in public, not sure of himself, tripping over his words, not like before. He's not the same Gary Gensler. He was the cop on the beat. He was the Dems, secret weapon in the pocket to go after these organizations, not FTX, of course, because that was the money laundering scheme, not that one. On both sides of the aisle, by the way, the reason you don't see the House, Kevin McCarthy going after any of this, because he made millions. So did all the other Republicans. They all got funded. So this uniparty got funded by all the FTX money, and he was meeting. They forgot the part where he was meeting. He's a different person, Jeff. He's neutered. He absolutely is pathetic. Ben, let's play this a little bit more. Let's play this through.
For you for that.
In the meantime, as we wait for this, what does it mean for?
I mean, he went from Daddy G to
Daddy
Goofy
to
Gensler. Now he's Goofy Gensler. It's like
nothing.
Goofy Gensler, smiling at the camera, checking his earpiece. Am I hearing this correctly?
Yeah.
So
he's very
for
nervous.
your efforts around crypto, for your efforts to try to protect the consumer in these areas. Does it?
These do fall out though.
And by the way, this is Bloomberg. They're really one of the worst. Your efforts to protect consumers. Does she have any clue that people's retirements got locked up for 2.5 years? They couldn't access it. Does she know that people couldn't that the $15 billion of market cap was erased? Oh, she wants to know, Jeff. You were trying to protect, if anything, this damaged the hell out of the end users. We got the final word, but still, she wants to know how he's protecting investors. This is just
all right. That's
painful.
That is.
What does it mean for your efforts around crypto, for your efforts to try to protect the consumer in these areas? Does it complicate it?
That's too much, Chip.
Yeah, then these
does
questions
it complicate it?
The only way he agreed to come on here was that they got the questions ahead of time. He already knows what the questions are. He doesn't agree to do an interview today unless he knows what the questions are. And if he can't get them in a hearing from Pocahontas, Elizabeth Warren, who should have resigned because she pretended to be Native American for her entire life, he's going to get the answers ahead of time.
That's right. So let's play that question again.
Around crypto, for your efforts to try to protect the consumer in these areas, does it complicate it?
Hang on. I recorded a snippet of him answering before. I thought maybe we should play this one. All right. Let's continue.
What's in his ear? They always have an ear. The earpiece is how he hears her, but it's also where you feed him the questions. I don't know. That's
Well,
they
you
always
got to
have
be
an
able
ear.
to hear. He's in a different studio, so
Yeah, he's in a different studio. He has an earpiece so that he can hear her. And if you want people that, if you ever seen an interview where people like they're touching their earpiece a lot, they can't hear, like they claim they can't hear the question. They don't want to answer the question. But anyway, here we go.
What'd you say?
Oh, I'm sorry, Jeff. What?
What'd you
This
say?
field of crypto investing, a lot of investors should be aware it's not only a highly speculative asset class, it's also one that they currently should not assume that they're getting the protections of the securities laws, even though the securities laws apply to many of those tokens, without prejudging any one. But you as investors are not getting the full, fair, and truthful disclosure. And the platforms, the intermediaries, are doing things that we would never in a day allow or think the New York Stock Exchange or NASDAQ would do. The platforms often are commingling and trading against you and have market makers that are on the other side of your trades. And we don't allow that in the rest of our securities markets.
Well, the big part he's missing here, Jeff, is he still thinks it's a security. Listen, Goofy Gensler, you don't have any jurisdiction here. This is the CFTC. So shut your mouth. You have nothing to do. And John Deaton takes him to the cleaners on this one. But he still talks about this. You don't have the protection. Yeah, because it's a commodity. There is no security protection. And everything he's saying here is complete BS, Jeff. He's completely.
I mean, he has a point on the exchanges, because if we look at like FTX and how FTX imploded, some of the fraud that was being committed, but why not bring FTX to task when you know about it? Then he's going after Coinbase when Coinbase isn't doing that, because they've shared everything. Their entire business plan has been outlined in front of the SEC when they went public. They had an actual IPO. They actually went public. They're actually trading stock. There's a stock called Coin, and they had to have SEC approval in order to do that, because that is a security. But here he is. He's still, just pontificating on a bunch of nonsense. He just likes to hear himself talk. It's crazy at this point. The guy's a nut job.
Right.
The securities laws are there to protect you, and that's right now. This is a field rife with fraud, rife with hucksters, and there are good faith actors as well, but there are far too many that aren't.
So go after the bad faith actors, right? So okay, finally, after all of that, he painted this evil picture on how horrible everything is. Oh, there are some good actors. There's a ton of good actors. The whole space is being built by good actors. There's good actors all over the place. I would say there's fraud that's being committed because there's always fraud being committed, right, Chip? I mean, you don't need a digital asset to be the prince in Nigeria sending out emails, back during the 90s and early 2000s, asking people for money or to, I mean, that was fraud, right? There's fraud being transacted with banks. There's banks that are committing fraud, as we know, because we've looked at all of the fines that banks have had to pay. There's fraud in this space. There's people that are going to commit that, but there's a huge amount of amazing companies that are building in this space. And not once has Gary Gensler ever referenced all the amazing things that are happening in this space. He just says, oh, there's some good actors, but there's far more fraud being committed. I mean, the guy, his mindset is so corrupted, so demented, so negative, that how could he be the chair of the SEC when all he sees is negativity and wants to undermine the productivity of this country and the investment from retail investors? He doesn't care about protecting retail investors. He has one initiative, one agenda, and that has to do with climate control. That has to do with the agenda of the current administration to undermine the economic growth of this country. He doesn't care about any one of you that's out there that's investing. I don't care if you're investing in GameStop or you're investing in XRP. It doesn't matter. He wants to undermine you at every single step. Right, Chip? And then he's going to hide behind this nonsense.
No, but then also on this climate disclosure stuff, he's saying the companies are requesting it. People are requesting it. Okay, great. Turn over the documentation that says that that's true.
Right.
Nobody's
Never has.
nobody's requesting any of that, and also too, that's outside your jurisdiction. It goes back to the to already law precedents already set that you are mandated for Congress to regulate what you're not outside. There's nothing Congress ever passed to talk about climate disclosures or anything else. You're making up rules out of thin air, and you don't have the authority to do so. That's what he should have been called to the mat on. But it's just he's a complete nutter. I wanted to get into some more fun stuff here, Jeff. Let's
Vince, we're here to protect you, aka I hit you because I love you.
I
hang on. Let me let's just throw up Deaton's commentary on this.
Yeah, do that.
Quick. So this was good. Has Gensler read the Howey decision?
No.
He has no jurisdiction over assets or asset classes, only sales. Howey says explicitly that it doesn't matter if an offer is speculative or not in determining if it's a security. It doesn't matter. And Gary Gensler has many times talked about this speculation aspect. Howey gives them no authority to regulate blind bid transactions like on exchanges. None. You're out of arguments, Gary Gensler. And he is completely out of arguments. The guy he's off the reservation. Completely just nonsense. It's just such nonsense.
Yeah,
but you know, it has been. Yeah. No, go ahead.
I mean, the thing about Gary Gensler is like, I'm tired of talking about him, and pretty soon we'll wean off him. But you know what? Listen, it's time for him to get his ass handed to him. What I did want to do, Jeff, is I did want to like announce this here because I think this is big news here. But big news here. Badass Yetis are available.
Where?
Over there on SuperMojo. We are officially on SuperMojo. You can go buy a Badass Yeti. You guys have wanted to get a Badass Yeti. You didn't want to touch your precious XRP. We understand that. We have made them available over there at Craig DeWitt, former Rippler, along with another former Rippler who's founded SuperMojo. And I'm dropping that down right there. And we'll have that in the comments as well. We'll throw that in there. But you guys can go over there, and it's pretty simple, man. You just purchase it with a credit card. So you just click on this here. You put your phone number in. That's that's your unique identifier. And then after you put your phone number in, you just put your card information, and boom. And what it does is it puts it inside of a wallet for you. If you want to move it, you can. If you don't, it's here on SuperMojo. And the good news is, because a lot of times what we've talked about is it's complicated, right? You gotta have a Zum wallet, and then to open up a Zum account, you got to transfer XRP to it. You got to have XRP in there. Then you gotta be able to move your XRP so that you can connect your Zum wallet to XRP.cafe. Then you have to be able to mint one. This one's pretty simple. It's $50, $58.90, $5.89. There you go. To be able to get a Badass Yeti, and
Sweet.
Go ahead and get one, guys. Go ahead.
That's it.
Did you want it?
We're supporting SuperMojo. SuperMojo is growing in the space. It's pretty cool. Like what they're doing because it's kind of combining the old ways and the new ways together. And they're helping facilitate future mainstream adoption, which is amazing. So that's the SuperMojo agenda. They're just kind of, I would say they're in their infancy in this space, just like most of it, but there's a lot of amazing things that are going to be happening. And we're excited to be over there supporting SuperMojo. So, but Chip, you know what's happened in the past 1 week, right? Years have gone by. Years have literally gone by with zero activity in the Financial Services Committee. And now we have multiple bills that have been pushed out of the Financial Services Committee. I mean, it's super, super impressive to see what's happening. And another one from Warren Davidson, he actually has an amazing bill that just came out of the Financial Services Committee. And his bill is to protect self-custody. He says those attacking self-custody oppose individual freedom. They want someone they control to control your assets. So this is a very important bill. Take a look, HR 4841, to prohibit federal agencies from restricting the use of convertible virtual currency by a person to purchase goods or services for the person's own use and for other purposes. This is a very, very big deal. It's called Keep Your Coins Act of 2023. That means you're able to self-custody on your own digital wallet, on your own ledger. So this is or your own cold wallet. Sorry. So this is critical because the powers that be on the other side are trying to negate this. They don't want you to self-custody. And in fact, they're really trying to create this so that only banks will be able to custody for you, the ones that they control. So it's a very, very important initiative that we've seen here. And then, and then there's that. That's what's on the other side.
Well,
but
that's gonna wear thin because of all the Bitcoin ETFs, all massive donors to the Blue Party, and I think they've told them to chill the message a little bit. And one of the things we saw is like Richie Torres was joined by several other Democrats, which probably I would think maybe like even a month ago wasn't going to be possible. So because of this Bitcoin ETF filing, because a lot of those like JP Morgan Chase, they're all massive donors. So I think they've told them to chill the message down a little bit. Our boy Pomp was on Fox Business and he was asked about the Ripple case. Let's play this video.
Talk about when is it going to happen with XRP, because of course XRP has had an incredible run up, even as it's got the SEC breathing down its neck. It got a favorable judge ruling, court ruling rather, and we're waiting to see if the SEC will appeal that ruling, which basically was in XRP's favor. Right now it's at 71 cents. Where do you think XRP moves toward through all of this drama?
Yeah, I'm not sure about prices. What I do know, though, is you had a group of people who went ahead and they were building a business, building technology.
Yep.
The government came in and said, hey, look, what you're doing is wrong. You're violating these rules. And they went to court. And I actually think that we are now seeing cases that have been going on for a long time where we're starting to get some of the judgments. We're starting to get some of the clarity. People in the crypto community have been asking for regulatory clarity for a long time. People in the regulatory bodies have been saying the existing rules are the clarity, comply with them. And so I think in the XRP case, it's a great example where they went to court, they laid out their arguments, the regulatory bodies laid out their arguments, and a judge made a decision. Now there's appeals and other kind of knock-on effects, but ultimately in the country of the United States, going to court and making your case is part of what it means to have the best capital markets
100%.
and freedom. Absolutely.
Okay, so I got to give him a lot of credit. I mean, Pomp, listen, I mean, he's been a critic, but he got it. He's like one of the few people, especially the people talk about Bitcoin maxis. He said, look, the SEC said it was clear. They went in there and the law was clear, but it wasn't in the SEC's favor. So I got to give Pomp a lot of credit there because Anthony Pompliano really went out there and said the right thing. He's been accused of being a Bitcoin maxi. He's had Brad Garlinghouse on his podcast a couple times. They've gone back and forth. I think a lot of it's in good fun. But when it mattered, he had to go on Fox Business to give his official commentary. That's how he left it on the table. Is that they were unfairly gone after. SEC said the rules were clear. They've been asking for years for clarity. No one did it. Now Congress is acting. Jeff, it's coming together in a perfect storm. So
it is. So here's what I find is interesting, and it comes down to party lines. Unfortunately, there's some on the blue team that believe in this freedom, that believe in supporting the retail investors' liberties to decide what they want to invest in. And then there's those in the Senate, unfortunately, that are doing things that are contrary to. And so there were two big wins. One of them we talked about. There's a couple things coming out of the Financial Services Committee. Patrick McHenry, chair of the House Financial Services Committee, said long-awaited stablecoin regulatory framework, the clarity for payment stablecoins, creates a uniform federal floor for the digital assets and protects consumers by requiring stablecoins to be backed 1-to-1 by specific high-quality liquid assets. So we had that come out. We had Warren Davidson's bill that just came out of Financial Services Committee. And then we had the FIT Act for 21, the Financial Innovation and Technology Act of the 21st century. That came out of Financial Services Committee. Years went by, Chip, and we had nothing. Nothing came out of financial. Now, all of a sudden, we have all this. There's some Democrats have argued against it. Hang on.
Oh, sorry. I want to play these video clips before I get out of here. I got to get out of here in 2 minutes.
Okay. Let me just wrap this. Hang on 1 second.
Okay, but I got to go.
And then I'll be done. It's not even 8 o'clock yet. 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock in 2 minutes.
You're leaving early? All right. Well, you guys get the gist. The Democrats are opposing it, and the Senate just passed some really bad stuff. So
I want to get these fun videos.
Let's go to your videos. Let's see what videos you got.
Play something fun. So BPM, the BPM wallet, which is doing something really cool in the XRPL.
Oh, BPM. Right, we got to talk about that.
Yeah, so BPM is doing that. The BPM wallet, what they're doing is they're modernizing ticket sales on the blockchain, and they've also partnered with the upcoming Gold Coast XRPL meetup that's happening in the Gold Coast, which is just a little bit south of Brisbane, north of Sydney in Australia, coming up in March of 24. And you're going to be, when you purchase a ticket to that, it's going to be an NFT in your wallet, and it's going to be on the blockchain. So that's how they're going to avoid all these scammers and all this stuff that's going on. They have a really good story. We'll get to their story. Maybe we'll get them on here to talk a little bit more about it. James Rule, XRP, is an advisor to the project, and they had an official launch in London. They had a big thing. Jeremy Hogan was there, James Rule, because he's an advisor. They also had Crypto Eddie was there, and also King Solomon was there as well. And they had a little bit of fun with Brad Garlinghouse. So let's see some of these clips here.
So good how the app worked for everyone. Everyone loved it. Seamless.
Yeah, it's great. How do you think the old 2Ticks branding went?
I think 2Ticks went down well. Yeah, I think it was. I think it's a memorable name. I think we've chosen the right name for it.
Yeah, it's good.
So they had this Brad Garlinghouse cutout where they were, I don't know, James Rule. It was pretty much going all over London with it. And Crypto Eddie shot this behind the scenes footage here from the other angle here, but I thought this was a fun little thing.
That's pretty hilarious.
I think 2Ticks went down well. Yeah, I think it was,
so you can see Solomon behind there. He's got the cigarette. He's got the beer drink.
I almost started laughing out loud, and I was like, "What's the secret?" Came in, and I was like, I was thinking, "Look, come here, watch this."
Well, they played it off pretty good. You look at here, and it's like all nice and serious.
For everyone,
and as they pan down, you get to see Brad Garlinghouse sitting in a chair. It's a cutout of him.
I think
and then you see him with smoking a cigarette and, of course, having like a drink of a beer. So
that's good.
That's very funny.
So, and then there's some more behind the scenes here. So we got this one here.
Serve.
Brad was playing. He's playing ping pong. Hit his arm. It's close. So there he is playing ping pong. Thought that was good.
Great.
Here we go.
Ready? Here we go.
Serve. It's all you. Give me the ball, man.
And of course, who knew that Brad Garlinghouse also plays cornhole? Who knew? There he is.
Oh, Brad, almost. Come on, brother. Oh, you missed.
Sounds like James Rule.
Yeah, well, it's James Rule behind the camera. That's probably Solomon or somebody else throwing it hiding behind.
Didn't sound like Brad. Didn't sound like Brad Garlinghouse at all.
Holy shit! Like, let's not do that. That's a bad idea.
Anyway, that's all I got, Jeff. I'll let you play us out of here because I got to get out of here.
Yeah. So why don't you do your thing, go where you got to go, and then we're gonna go back and kind of dissect this a little bit more, talk about our favorite people, and then that's it.
All right, man. Well, everybody, guys, we'll see you tomorrow night. If a guest on there still at the major confirmed, but we should be all good to go for tomorrow.
Oh, we got to get
see
that.
You guys on the next one. Jeff, finish everybody out. I got to go.
Yeah. See ya. See ya. All right. So what are we going to talk about? Here's what we're going to go through. We can go over a little bit more. We're just going to dig into this. This is kind of important, the bills. So we're kind of sidetracked a little bit on the different bills that are being presented in front of Financial Services Committee. Someone up here was saying, hey, once this gets in front of Biden, it'll probably be vetoed. Still has to go to the Senate, which is a big deal. But again, House Financial Services Committee, multiple positives coming out of the House Financial Services Committee. Now, when we get on the other side, now part of that is that we had several Democrats that were voting with Republicans to move the bill forward. And now, it gets into Congress, has to go through Congress, go to the Senate. But it's important that it's bipartisan. So we have to have a bipartisan approach to the bill in order for it to gain more traction in the Senate. And then we just need a real simple majority in the Senate, 51, to pass it. So it has to go that way. Some of the problems, though, as we get down into some of the commentary. So we have we have 14 months of debate, right, between the different committee, Republicans, Democrats, to get it forward. Remember that we had the FTX issue that created a little bit of tension, animosity. And then, so you have multiple victories on the congressional side. And then on the Senate side, here they passed that defense funding bill. We went into the defense funding bill because there were like 783 different amendments in the bill. And we had Lummis and Gillibrand putting an amendment in there in the defense bill as it referenced digital assets. So it ended up including multiple references to digital assets. Now, one of the issues here, the bill, this defense bill, is authorizing the Treasury Department to establish examination standards to help prevent cryptocurrencies from being used to finance illicit activities. Now, imagine if they put something in the funding bill that says they want to find a way to prevent the U.S. fiat currency from being used to finance illicit activities. So how does this make sense, right? So we have an asset class that could be used transactional, that can be used to pay for things, and they want to prevent it from being used for, if people are going to commit illicit activities, they're going to use whatever's at their disposal to pay for those illicit activities. What they're referencing here, if they want to create some sort of a standard to prevent, they want some sort of a controllable mechanism that they can determine if you're using your money, your cryptocurrency. Maybe they'll even put this into a fiat environment if they have controllable CBDCs, which will allow them to program those currencies. That means they can shut off your access to your money at any point that they deem necessary to them. So that's basically what's being hidden in this agenda. Because again, if you don't want to, if you want to look at it realistically, for hundreds, if not thousands of years, fiat currency has been used for illicit practice. Otherwise, illicit gains there wouldn't be any illicit activity if there was no way for them to get paid. So another authorizes Treasury to conduct a study on how to counter anonymous crypto transactions and solicit recommendation for legislation. Here's another issue. So if you were to go out and buy something in fiat currency cash, that's anonymous. The federal government, the Treasury, really doesn't have the authority to monitor what you're spending and make a determination as to whether or not they think you should be able to spend your money on X. So within your bank account, they have to get court orders if there's a crime being committed to then pull up those types of records. They don't automatically have a way to disclose everybody in terms of what you are using your money on. So here they want to make it, they want to get rid of the anonymity of it. They want to know exactly who's using the money, how they're using it, or the crypto, how they're using it, where they're moving it to. And they're going to hide this all under the guise that they're trying to prevent illicit activity, which then factors in and features into what they want to do with CBDCs. Again, controllable, programmable, digital US currency. So crypto has become the payment method of choice for rogue nations, drug lords, ransomware gangs, and fraudsters to launder billions of dollars in stolen funds, evade sanctions, fund illegal weapons programs, and profit off of devastating cyber attacks. And you would have to say this is relatively inaccurate, because if they are using digital asset, much of it, when it's being utilized, there's major companies out there that their primary goal and objective is to trace money that's being, or cryptocurrencies that are being utilized for illicit activities, especially when it's being utilized for funding terrorism. So they've been able to trace, they track, they figure it out. Now, if you're using money, because all along, before 10 years ago, all of these things, ransomware, fraudsters, drug lords, rogue nations, they weren't using cryptocurrency, they were using fiat, and most likely still, for the most part, using fiat. Now, of course, this is Elizabeth Warren sponsored one of these bills, which informed the amendment in a statement. So here we have Warren also highlighted the National Defense Authorization Act rider this week, introducing her bill, Digital Asset Anti-Money Laundering Act. So you can kind of get an idea. It's interesting to see these in parallel, and that's what I wanted to just show, where in the Congress, they're looking at positive development, right? We have Warren Davidson, protecting self-custody. How can he help people self-custody generate more revenue, right? You have, we had the other bill that came through. What was it with McHenry, which was, what was it called? Stablecoin regulatory framework, the Clarity for Payment Stablecoin Act. Another one, positive. You had the FIT Act, right? The FIT for the 21st Century Act. So all of these are positives on how it's helping all of people within this community build in the community and find ways to generate more revenue. Keep the revenue here. Don't send it offshore. Obviously, the Judge Torres ruling was vital and critical to the outcome, to see how fast now we're seeing legislation being pushed through Congress and through the Financial Services Committee. Very polar opposite in what we're seeing from Elizabeth Warren and her gang in the Senate. So what the concern is going to be is that when this comes out of Financial Services Committee, it gets voted on in Congress, passes in the House, passes the House, gets moved over to the Senate. We need a simple majority, 51 votes in the Senate. Hopefully there's enough traction in all of these different acts in the Senate to pass them in the Senate. Then it moves on for signature. The question is, and someone raised it, will there be a veto coming from Biden on these very, very critical, on this very, very critical legislation? So that is going to be the question that we all have to be very cognizant of. And this then goes back to the whole notion of what FTX was, where the blue team was benefiting financially from the FTX movement of digital asset, and how they are suffering from the fallout. A lot of things are coming to light. There are probably some red team members that were caught up in that as well. But what we do know is that moving forward over the next year, we have one more year with 2024 is going to be it's going to be a pivotal election year for the cryptocurrency space. Pivotal, especially if we don't see full clarity coming from these bills that are being introduced at the House. First time in years. And we see it all happening in 1 week. Some of these bills, if you look back, the bills were just presented. They were just presented like a week ago in front of the Financial Services Committee. This one, July 25th. And then it was passed on the 28th. That's how fast legislation can get through committee. And, I'm not sharing it. I should have shared it. July 25th, passed on the 28th. So, very, very exciting times that we're in, but that shows you how fast legislation can go through committee, even though it's been years they've been discussing and tearing it down. But this coming year is the most pivotal for the US. I'm not talking about all over the world, because Singapore, over in the UK, in Japan, all over the world, we've seen regulatory clarity. Even over in the UAE, there's some clarity in terms of the right course, the right path of acting for the digital asset space. The world gets it. The US is now getting it. Thank God for the Judge Torres ruling, because, again, that is the impetus to the movement of all of these bills that are passing, my opinion. But we're also going to see that take a lot more traction moving forward. So the rest of this year, we're going to see, I believe, a lot more coming out of Congress. We had to wait a little bit for it to happen. Now we're going to start seeing things go in hyperspeed. We're going to have to observe, again, see what happens in Congress. It has to go through the House. It has to pass. One of these bills have to pass both the House and the Senate. If we see that, then we know, and we'll see how it falls on party lines, but we'll know that there's an appetite at this exact moment. And then if it gets blocked, then we obviously are looking forward to 2024, because 2024 is what is going to take this crypto space in the US market to a new height, It's going to explode. We need the regulatory clarity. We need the definitions. We have to stop the likes of Elizabeth Warren, who are hating on crypto and trying to spin it so they can control it. And they're packaging in this warm, fluffy package to make it look like they're trying to protect everybody from illegal activity. And that's not the case. All they want to do is put in regulation, and they want to put in standard to allow them to monitor, track, and control how you spend your money. And they're going to use the illicit side. They haven't done it in thousands of years, figure that mechanism out. But all of a sudden now they see the fact they have it in their hands. They have this programmable money in their hands, and they have a way to implement a mechanism to track everything you do. They want it. You can see that Warren Davidson on the other side does not. Thank God for the self-custody bill. Really important stuff. That's all I've got. You guys are amazing. Went a little bit long today because I wanted to get that out there. Thought it was important. You guys are amazing. You guys are awesome. You guys are the support of the On the Chain community. And make sure you guys go to onthechain.io. Why onthechain.io? Because over here, when you hit subscribe, there's two ways you can do it. If you hit the free subscribe, that's awesome. What that means, you hit the subscribe, boom, do that, go free, subscribe now. You're still going to get the emails. We've now unlocked the emails. So when we send, you'll automatically get an email. It's going to have a summary breakdown of what we talked about on the show. You're going to get, you'll get a direct link. So if you missed the show, you have an easy way to get back to the show. Here's the links for the podcast. Here's the links for the video. If you said, hey, I forgot I have to order some more badass Yetis coffee, here's the link to the XRP. You want some good XRP swag like the XRP SEC Wars, Return of the XRP. Here's a nice summary. And then all the links to all the articles. So when we get done today, there'll be a nice email that goes out. Yeah, very easy to subscribe. If you want to support extra, you can do that. It's up to you. But it's free to subscribe and get those cool emails. So that's all we got. We'll be back tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're here with you guys 3 days a week, right? Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and Saturday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Thank you, and good night.
We'll check out on the next one. We are out of here. That's it. That's how we got it. That's all we've got. I'm trying to find that exit. Where is our cool exit? Where is it? There it is. I'm out.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.